And that's it, we're off. Woven and Elad will probably join us in a few minutes. Okay, welcome to another Android Tech Talk. Who wants to start today?
I can start if you guys want. So,
please.
Working with a few things. One of the, apart from the usual like bug fixing and things like those, working with the broadcaster, how do they call it? OTT broadcaster selector or library selector, which is will be a new plugin for be able to place on the startup of the application once the data has been loaded for like login and everything. So you would actually, with that through that plugin, steal like the normal flow of the startup of the app, and then you could pick which broadcaster to choose from, and then you could pick one of them, or like one of them, the ones that are available, and then actually explore the library or the whole, the broadcaster information through that. So this is a requirement for one of the clients here in Miami, and I think there's actually a couple of clients. So yeah, currently working with that plugin, and I saw there's this broadcaster selector type of plugin. So looking with the info with the as well with the guys. Then also working with the new Chagres family and the family three, and also with the family 2 as well, with a few fixes and few things missing there from Pablo. So we can actually have a full version of the families. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, what I'm going to be working this week, apart from typical bugs and things like that fixing.
Okay.
Yep. I'll go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been working on a plugin that we could utilize for the new feed that Carlos and Livio are working on. This is a React Native plugin, so I tried to take a look at what we're doing with the default plugin Ruben worked on. And there's just one small issue that sometimes we have NPM dependencies that are both dependencies on the React side, and they need a native component as well. So right now, it's like there's no standard in the React Native world as to how these dependencies are imported into your project. So some of them are open projects, so you have to add them as project dependencies, and some of them are libraries that you could compile, like AAR files. So we need like an extra step either in our plugin manifest or maybe in SAPFS to understand if these are project dependencies or not and add them appropriately. So this is something that needs to be done. And I'm also considering, just since this feed is going to require a lot of bridging to the native side, and it needs information from stars and from the SDK, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth communication between them. I don't think it's sufficient to use the plugin, so I might just start a fresh feed React Native plugin that's apart from the default. But I was able to learn a lot from the default, so well, that's what I'll be working on for the next week or so.
Okay, cool, thanks. Who's next? Atanas?
All right, so I've been working on a bug, and the bug hasn't been reviewed yet. So I would like to share with everybody what the bug is.
Atanas, can you go closer to the mic?
Yeah. Can you hear me now better?
Yeah.
Okay. So the bug is, so you see this auto rotation. It needs to be enabled. If auto rotation is not enabled, then we don't have the bug. So many users have this feature on Android enabled, and many of them doesn't. So this bug is only for those who have enabled auto rotation. Yeah. So I have auto rotation enabled, and so the bug is appearing for all the apps that are using the bottom bar plugin. And it is happening actually for all the apps, but the bottom bar is doing some calculations, and it is slightly broken, and it is making it to look more broken. So it is on Nova, Quasi, TV, Pulse 4, Hot, basically every app that is using the bottom bar. So I can show it on Hot. I'm gonna launch the app. Okay, so I need to close that. So I need to keep it in landscape. Okay, so this time the bug. So it only appears for certain devices, and it only it doesn't appear all the time. So I'm gonna repeat it.
Atanas, was this the same issue from last week that you were having and showed us?
No, I don't know.
The bottom nav bar, it got cut on the side.
Yes, I think we were talking about
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
So this is the bug. You can see everything is cut off.
Yeah, because the bottom bar thinks it should be opened in landscape, and the layout for it is different probably. Or the calculation is done differently for landscape.
But Atanas, when he fixed it, Elad Karim.
So this bug wasn't fixed entirely. Elad Kariti somehow made it better, but there's a race condition. So we are forcing the orientation to be portrait when on create. When the activity is created, on create, we are forcing it to be portrait. So Elad's fix was to wait till the activity is created and then do the calculations. However, on certain devices, the operating system has another opinion than Applicasta, whether something should be in portrait or in landscape. And sometimes it thinks that it should be in landscape, and it is messing it. So the fix is like Anna also did the fix for that, but it was recreating the activity. And whereas it was fixing it, recreating the activity many times isn't exactly the most elegant solution. Yeah. So my solution isn't the most elegant either. The most elegant solution is to make sure that it is launched in portrait. And the way I researched it, you needed to add something in the manifest, and you need to add the user for permission, which is pretty crap as UX. So my solution is influenced by both Elad and Anna's solution, and it is I'm listening for the rotation event, yeah, and I am sending a message to the plugin, to the bottom bar or any other plugin, and then the plugin is dealing with what it needs to do. In that case, I can detect whether the layout is incorrect. So when I detect that it is incorrect, I don't create the bottom bar, and there's no measurement. And when there's a rotation, the bottom bar is created and everything is measured. Yeah.
Can I add a couple of words? So basically what I've seen in the code is that we are drawing layout before we detecting how we have to change the orientation, which is bad in my opinion. Though there's something what concerns me also is that in general, whenever you do the rotation, on create should be called second time, and it's not. And I think the activity life cycle is broken somewhere, which is very bad in my opinion. So I don't know who's responsible for that, for looking deeper in the app, what's going on there, because in my opinion it might escalate at some point in a bigger problem. You mute.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
First of I saw that. First of all, we're trying to reproduce this. We cannot. So I can't approve this pull request until I will see what happened there. I can see your code, it looks okay, but I still want to test it on my app. So this is the reason that I didn't approve it, not because we didn't take a look. Second of all, yes, we saw that we are changing the orientation before we are setting the view. It look weird, yeah. So we need to maybe to change it and to set the orientation after we are setting the view, and maybe it will solve it. I don't know.
You cannot do it because part of the apps are in landscape and part are in portrait. And
no, it doesn't matter. We will do the same, but just
in the manifest. Let's start from there.
it's not related to the manifest. It's related to when in the intro activity you are doing set orientation and then set content view. Maybe it's better to make the set content view and then to make the set orientation.
Are you sure?
No, this
Because
doesn't work.
I was seeing something absolutely opposite.
Why? What did you? Let's see. We have set orientation and then we are doing set content view.
But set orientation is being done before even a super on create of the activity is being done. This is weird. So it might create issues.
Yeah,
so we need to switch the order.
Maybe we
that
can
will
switch
fix it.
and it will fix it. So we want to test to check another solution and to try it.
Okay.
And regarding to the application life cycle, that when we're rotating the device, you don't the on create never called again. It's because we are catching the on configuration change, and it should not call again. So this is the reason that the activity is not recreated. We don't want to recreate the activity.
I'm sorry, but whenever you're rotating the device, as far as I know, the previous view is destroyed and new is created.
You're right. Yes, you're right. But if you catch in the manifest the on configuration change, if you will see in the manifest, we put attributes in the on configuration change: screen device, screen orientation, screen width, and what this is said that the activity should not recreate it.
Okay.
So this is the reason.
Instead
We don't
of
want the activity to recreate when we orientation change.
so instead of creating, it is redraw or remeasured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for example, if you're watching a movie, you don't want activity to be recreated if you're watching a stream. Yeah, when you turn orientation. You
And,
don't.
we don't want it
In
general.
general, in our apps, we set the orientation. We don't want to handle, the apps are either portrait or landscape. We don't want to have both. It's a product decision, which I don't think that it's bad. It was done many years ago, but this is why we are catching not allowing the activity to recreate.
Yeah. So this
So
is the
our apps are, all of them, I think, portrait. Only the babies, I think, are landscape.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah, the babies and
It's entertainment.
All right, so I did some research about that, and people were discussing when exactly they want to force the orientation. So they were discussing whether if they put it before super on create, it would be fixed, but it's not fixed.
no, the only way to do it is to add to the manifest the orientation.
Exactly.
And this one should be from ZAP. If you want to set it, it should be set from ZAP. This is the decision of Khan and ZAP team to decide if they want to put it or not.
But you cannot do it because if you have a tablet, it should be in landscape and the smartphone should be in portrait, so you cannot set the orientation on the manifest. It should be a one-time decision.
Or
It can be done. It can be done on Zap. The way we are enforcing now in the code, we can enforce in the manifest. To me, this is the right solution of the problem. My solution is like fix it last moment.
Yeah, I saw your solution. I guess it's work, but
it does.
Until I can, test it on my device, it's like problem for me.
We did a landscape app with the button tab, for example, to test it, and you need to test it on the other apps that use the button tab.
It always appears for apps with the bottom tab, and it is more subtle for apps that doesn't have the bottom tab, but it still appears. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can take it offline. We will talk about it. Me and Ruben also trying to.
I think it should be a solution from Zap.
Talk about it.
I think it should be a Zap solution.
Our problem was that at one point it was a blocker for the client. They didn't want to release, and we told them that it was fixed before. So they gave up on that, and they said that they could release without the fix. But at one point they wanted the fix. So like we couldn't have waited for months for this to be fixed in Zap. So like if we decide to fix it in Zap, maybe we can merge my solution and then revert it when it's ready. Or if there's a better solution, I don't mind.
Okay, I say let's talk about it offline.
I think it's good that everybody here. I think this is why we have the Decktop, to decide those things.
From my experience, okay, when activity is being forced to an orientation in code, but it behaves strange and changes it, like the into activity, it means one of two options. Either the life cycle of the activity is being broken by, for example, not calling the super on create first, okay? And this can lead to weird behaviors, okay? Or second option, there is a transparent activity that is being opened on top of it on landscape. And when there's a transparent activity being opened on top of anything, it forces the activities below to change the orientation, even if they declare different one. Okay, it just forces it. So either there's on first launch, either there's a transparent activity being invoked there, or something is broken with the life cycle. That's the only options I can think of.
No, if you put it on the manifest, it works, right?
We didn't try.
So again, maybe maybe switching the order of super on create and forcing the.
No, we tested everything. It's not. I tested it.
When?
With Bellator, we had the same problem.
Yeah,
no, but Bellator was another issue. There was an issue with the calculation of the bottom tab bar layout. Okay, that was an issue, separate issue. There was an issue. The issue is no, it's not the same issue. It's the same result.
It's the same scenario, but it's not the same issue.
The same UI. It's exactly the same time that we had. What is so?
No, it's the same result. It's absolutely bottom tab of width and height of the screen were done too early.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
It was done before the screen even got it with its width and height. Now that is so that issue was fixed. Now there's a weird issue that the orientation of the into activities and something is influencing the bottom tab bar as the next screen or something. Anyway, it's another issue. It's a different issue. Not the same.
I think that we should give Atanas the chance to try to fix it and before we come to a conclusion without really knowing what is the problem. So maybe you can take it offline and see what is happening and then give either fix it or say what you recommend. But it's hard for 10 people that doesn't really remember the code to provide a solution like that.
Can I share my screen, guys? I want to show you the solution because it's there and it's waiting for review.
It is in review, in fact.
Yeah, it's in review. Yeah, sorry. Well, actually, everybody did great, and like it's it's a bit of an unpleasant issue. So I can explain what I'm doing. If you want, I can share the screen. So can you guys see my screen? Oh, I think I pushed. Guys, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
It's a Slack conversation. Yeah.
Zero Slack.
So the fix is I added a new hook in the root. So it's an empty method, exactly what Elad did, but it will be called on configuration changed. Yeah. So this is exactly the same solution as Elad. And the next part is in generic. When on configuration change is called on generic base fragment activity, it's calling on configuration change, exactly the same solution as Elad, but the event is different. So this will enable us to fix any issue with any navigation, which is happening because of orientation issue. Yeah. So like this is what I think is important to be approved. Because we may, in the future, if we don't restart the activity, we may want to modify the layout when the orientation changes. And this is the means that the navigation can use to do it. Yeah. And the actual fix is here in the bottom bar. There's a race condition. Yeah. Sometimes on activity start will do it, but sometimes I need to do it on configuration changed, depending on which one comes first. So the tricky part is this if statement. And I took this if statement from one of our utility classes. Yeah. So it is tricky and I don't like it. But I don't think that it will be changed because it will possibly introduce a lot of regressions with existing apps. Yeah, so this is the only tricky part. Otherwise, there's the race condition. If everything is fine and we don't have an issue, just configure the bottom bar. If not, wait till later and create it here. So that's it. How do I do this option?
Atanas, as I say, this solution, as it look, it should work. But according to your theory, we have a race condition. And this is the issue. The issue is the race condition. This is not solve the race condition. We need to solve the way, if we have a race condition, so we need to solve the race condition. The result should be, the result is fine, the result is okay. But you can say, you can put here timer and wait 5 seconds and then to do it. And it also will work, but this is not a fix to the problem.
No, wait.
This is how I see it.
The problem with this race condition is that we are only in control of one part of the race. The other part we are not in control of.
We need to be sure that we don't have race condition in this case. This is what I.
Yes, I agree, but we can only ensure that we don't have the race condition if we set it up in the manifest.
I'm not sure, but okay, let's take it offline. Let's talk about it later.
One question, guys, just last thing. This implementation of the bottom bar, is it based in another bottom bar? Because I could see the code is pretty quick, pretty similar to a bottom bar by Roughhike.
Yes, exactly, it's the same.
Yeah, and I can see the exact same issue in their issues. So like having the same problem like that you described. and they say that it was something with the screen width calculation. So maybe it's worth checking it out. And they had a PR for that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we fixed Maraf fixed it back in the days, and it is checking the height. But if the device is in landscape orientation, it's getting the wrong height, and this is why it's cutting the fragment, because this is not the portrait height, but this is the landscape height.
No, but I'm talking that I don't know. I'll send you the link. At least they mentioned something about they pretty much sounds like exactly the same issue. And they gave some issue, like they fixed it through a PR and through just changing the width, not the height, but the width calculations. Maybe it's worth checking it out as well.
When I was investigating, I played with changing the width as well.
Yeah.
And it can make it better, but it doesn't solve it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll share it anyway, just in case it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, sure, please do that.
By the way, Atanas, if on start is not always the early enough to have the size, okay, so instead of on start, you can move it to on resume. It was one of the options of Caritis fix, yeah? There was an option to put it in on start or in on resume. On resume is for sure enough late to have the width and height, for sure. So you can move it in the hook instead of to on start and on configuration. Just remove it once to on resume and make sure and have a flag. Did they set the size or something that it will be called only once? Yeah, we put it in on start just to spare the flag because on start happens only once. But if it's too early in some cases, so move the hook to on resume and add a flag. Did set size that this calculation will be done only once. This is much better than split it into on configuration change and on start.
I like the idea. I'll give it a go today, and I'll let you know. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thank you for sharing all that valuable information. You now can take it offline and then just finally close this issue and the pull request. But I think we all understand that handling the orientation in our apps is something that we really need to deal with. And Ran, also, it might be that the solution should come eventually from Zap by setting the orientation according to what the app is configured to do, and maybe separate between smartphone and tablet also via Zap. But there's something that needs further.
I don't want to open discussion.
Yeah, it's not a discussion. I'm summarizing what we've just discussed.
To see what will happen if I set for all our apps orientation landscape. Just to raise a thought.
No, I'm not saying that's what you should do. Per app, set the correct orientation. Never mind. Let's put that aside for now.
Yeah. By the way, we shouldn't have side effects for apps that are on landscape. I tested on tablet, and it's only checking if the expected orientation is portrait and the orientation on the screen is not portrait. That's the only. So I don't expect, well, we should verify, but I don't expect side effects.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you.
If we don't fix it, I'll just raise the issue on the next tech talk.
Okay. Great, thank you. We have approximately 15 more minutes. We have to finish 10 minutes early today because we're going to be evacuated from the room for another meeting that takes place here. So we're going to have to cut a little short today. I'm sorry. So let's move on to continue the reviews. Do we still have Hani on the call?
Yes, hi.
Hey.
So, yeah, I'm happy to announce that we have subtitles in our full screen player. And basically that's it. Continue to working on improve our inline player. I know that you guys don't know what we're doing with it, but basically we have most of our app, our US team app, are using the inline player in a different way, in a list of inline players. So the use is a bit different from what you're familiar with. And that's it. Still working on improve it.
Okay, thanks.
I would like to say a couple of things in my checklist. Won't be long, just a couple of announcements. Less technical, but things that are important, if I may. First, I want to say that we were able to work on Circle CI to use their new API. Yesterday I was playing with it and I managed, with the help of Circle CI people, to reduce the Android build time without cache to 7 minutes. It was around 20 or 20 something. So not to mention what happens if it's cached. If things are cached, we can achieve 3 minutes build. So this is a big change. Important thing to know before I'm going to deploy it. It's important to know this change and just to monitor, because I'm sure there might be some side effects, but it should completely change the time that we build an app. So again, it's around 70% better in time than what we had before.
This is only for Android, also iOS?
Only Android. iOS is not supported yet on Circle CI. It's different because it's using Docker. So basically all the installation things that were consuming a lot of time, now it's installed image that you just need to load.
Are we cooking our own Docker images or no? Or just simply use one Android generic one and then install everything on top?
No, it's the new API of Circle CI is based on a Docker image. So everything is pre-installed. You load the image and then you start running the tasks.
No, I know. The thing is that we could cook our own images of Docker as well for Android. So we could have a specific, the Applicaster Docker image,
This is what we have. This is what we build. It's a little bit, it's not only Android because we are using Node.js and we are using Ruby. So it's like a constructed Docker file. There is a pull request that is open. Whomever wants to take a look at it is welcome. The only thing I'm saying that once it will be deployed, please be aware of it. And if we find some significant issues, we will fix or revert or whatever till it will be optimized. Because it's a big change in the way we build our apps. I try to make the caching as optimized as possible. It's a little bit tricky with Zap because we're not building the same app all the time. It's every time a different app using the same code. So if anyone wants to know, I cached it according to the version ID in Zap. There is a fallback of the way you can cache. First is the version ID, then it cached according to the branch, etc., etc. You're welcome to look at the pull request. I don't want to elaborate more. So that's one thing, one change that we're doing. Another thing that I would like to mention is where we are aiming to. So I want to point out two things. First, we know for a long time that we have problem of versioning in Zap Android. Our versioning is based on our Android generic app. So basically, I can change the Zap Android is like a frame project, skeleton project that contains the dependency of the generic app. It has some issues, the fact that it doesn't have versioning. So what we're aiming to do in the team is to make the Android generic app as a sub-module of the Zap Android, and the SDK that will be deployed will be the SDK the SDK version basically would be Zap Android. This is heads up. It's not done yet. It will be done, I would say, in the beginning of next quarter, like this quarter, maybe a month from now. That's something to be aware.
This is similar to iOS, right? So the similar approach that iOS is doing, from what I remember.
It won't be exactly the same, but it will kind of, it will be similar. The same, but similar, that's another thing. Another thing that I want to mention in general is something that we're going to announce soon once the process will be set. But we have a lot of issues, as you know, from releasing SDKs and the time that it takes, etc. So we're gonna move to an approach that we will release SDK that we will call as stable once every 2 weeks instead of once a week. And in addition, we will create nightly builds that won't have like a thorough, extensive QA cycle, but it will be released every day or every night to enable the territories to use SDKs whenever they want. Again, so stable release will be once every 2 weeks. It should be happening in the next few weeks, so just be aware. And there will be a nightly build or even a more, or even per pull request that will be merged, will generate an SDK. It will allow you to use it or not. It's up to you. That's the 3 main things that I want to mention. What else? I have some more things, but we don't have a lot of time, so I will let other people also talk.
We want you to talk.
What?
We want you to talk.
It's enough, no?
I want to hear you.
You talk a lot. I talk a lot.
I have something to update. We have an issue that if we are doing, I will give an example, purchasing something or making a login to a provider. So the fragment or the components not refreshed, never refreshed. So example, if we have a lock ribbon on the sales style, and we are purchasing a subscription or log into a provider system, so we want that when the action is completed, we want the sales style to be refreshed, and hide the lock ribbon. So I added a new notification type to the app broker notification types. So this is a kind of observer that we're using. This is called app broker force refresh action. And what is doing, if you are firing this event, so this means that the fragment will refresh the component. Okay, so if you are doing purchasing or login or something that you want to make sure that the components will be refreshed after this action, then you can use this this event. That's all.
One thing, I don't know, maybe I missed it, but we have a new Android developer, no, in the team. She wasn't introduced. Or you did it before I came.
Anna, I think that's you.
You.
Again.
So yeah, Anna was introduced earlier when I was.
I've been introduced a couple of times. Maybe you haven't.
Nice to meet you.
One last time, Anna.
This is one.
By the way, before I forget it, guys, so actually there was an issue with the changelog that we already taken a look and working with Ran to try to actually fix it. And so just keep an eye on the changelogs once in a while to make sure they're according to our Git history, because I could see that their changelogs, they've been up for for a few releases. And so this is something that we all can do, and it takes 30 seconds to do. So just double check that once in a while that the changelogs are according to our history in Git, and that will definitely help us to be able to get that. So we're trying to find, actually a solution for this. So because, yeah, we're using some tools and we need to find a way to fix this.
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome.
Guys, I have a quick question because this week we had someone had an investigation due to loading Gradle with a Gradle 3.0. I wonder how the investigation looked like. I mean, what's the result? Did we get somewhere with that?
So yeah, I actually looked into it this weekend, and I think the changes required to do it in the DSL are not that big, in the sense that we need to change the compile for API and implementation, I think is called. So a certain change on the on the tags of actually saying if we resolve that dependency or not, or it's just an API and everything. So it will not be a massive change on the DSL per se. And for I was reading thank you, by the way, the link that you shared was really helpful. A few tips of how we could even improve even better our Gradle. And something that is weird on the way we're building today is that actually without changing anything, you build twice, and actually it takes like 6 or 7 seconds, more or less, I measured, to actually build, which should be instantaneous. So one of the things they tell you, like, look, that's not a normal behavior. And if you haven't changed a line of code and, actually build time is taking time and you haven't changed anything, it means that there's something else that it might be causing the Gradle to actually delay itself. So maybe by do a tiny investigation, we can remove 6 or 7 times from our build times. And then thankfully with the 3.0, there will be a lot of massive big changes with the instant app. There was another ones with like rebuilding and, massive big changes on time and building time. And that will definitely help us all. So hopefully our computers won't fly so anymore when building Gradle.
I doubt it about there is a part in the Gradle that is called configuration, when you can press the build twice, one time after another, and it will still take time. This is an issue with Gradle. So maybe they fixed it with the new Gradle, but...
Also, when you are building and you are pressing the sync button by mistake, it also stuck on an endless task.
But this, I think it's related to Android Studio and not to the Gradle. But even if you run Gradle from the command line, till the version that are exposed currently, there is a phase that's called configuring, that even if you didn't change one line of code, it will take depending on your sub-modules, not sub-module, depending on the library modules that you have, it will take time.
Yeah, there is a massive, I think they changed that with the 3.0, and also they changed the way they actually precompile, like recompile APIs and things like that. So it's actually pretty much more efficient in the way they're actually compiling the tree, especially with us that we use a lot of submodules. And because if you will change a submodule, for example, down the line, like for example, like, I don't know, Crossmates or something, it will recompile everything up to the top, So now with the new 3.0, it would only compile the direct dependencies and not the whole branch. So the whole like tree of dependencies, which will make a massive gain as well. And so that should definitely hopefully will give us, quite some gain on build times as well. And one thing that we could do is actually measure it and create a blog post. That's one of the things I wanted to do, if possible, I'm talking to Udi. So see how, doing something like that will benefit us, and someone can actually, use it as well. Our experience of, for going from the old, to the new 3.0. That's one of the things I wanted to write about. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I think that the feature of not compiling everything, but not only some of the modules and everything, it is working only if your modules are not, like everyone are using Applicaster SDK, it means, it won't work on the Applicaster SDK. If you reference the module only once or something like that, I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can take a look. And also the thing that was really good, it was about stopping leaking dependencies of your own dependencies. So let's say that you create a dependency on, the Android SDK that you're using Dagger. At the moment, it would actually expose that dependency to the whole tree. So you could actually use that dependency from SAP Android if you wanted. So at the moment with the changes they've done with the DSL, it will restrict that. So you will actually contain your own dependencies and you would not leak it to the people who are actually using it. So using you, I meant. So in this case, you will need to redefine your own dependencies and, so actually don't leak those dependencies, which should be also pretty good. Because otherwise what could happen that, if, for example, we are using a dependency down in a module and, everyone else is actually using it, if you want to change that dependency, it might break, all of the others. So in that case should only affect you. So that's also a massive big change they've done on 3.0, which should be really
Wait,
beneficial.
but is it affecting reflection? If we are doing reflection of, we are initiating class from a different module or something on runtime.
And I need to double check. You mean for the plugins, right?
Yeah, for example.
I don't think so, but we can test it. So on test time, we can test it with plugins and make sure that everything is working. So, but I don't think it will be the case with reflection. But because the thing is, it's just about the dependencies. The reflection, it will, the dependency will get pulled for the plugin anyway, because it's directly dependent on the Android, on the actually app level, which is the Zap Android. So, but we can test it anyway. So, Ruben.
I think they got rid of the compile.
Yeah, they deprecated
they
it.
deprecated the compile.
They created one.
Introduced two new keywords, which one is like, it gives you the option that if you include the dependency and another dependency includes you get to choose if your dependency, the dependency is still like transit to the other dependency. So
yes.
something like that.
Basically,
API implementation, I think,
they fixed the transient that was not working.
The provider that wasn't working.
Yeah, the provider. Let's see what other things they introduced.
Yeah, and it's still in beta. So, but we should be able to test it at least. So, and by the way, I totally forgot. Last thing, code styling. Did we move anything red there or not? And I was doing some tests this weekend as well for code styling and using CheckStyle as a tool for be able to check those things. It's a bit more complicated than I thought and not so straightforward. And I was trying to use something similar as we do. For example, you can do in web with lint and like pre-commit hooks and things with checklist. It's possible, but I will need to test that everything. But at least I would think it would be beneficial. I mean, changing the code styling an entire, module, it takes, a few seconds. So, and we could all benefit by reading the exact same, using the exact same styling. But that's something I presume that we all need to decide. So, and I don't know if anyone actually gave it a thought or actually took a look at the code styling or not. So.
I haven't, but I would like to. So, or if you can send me the link or something, it would be great.
Yeah, sure. I will share it with you, and also we can talk about the check styles and everything. So, cool. I look at like a Google JSON formatter, Google Java formatter, which would actually automatically format the code for you, but it's a bit too harsh because it changes your own code, when you're building things. So might be not the thing that everyone likes to have their code changed by a machine. So, but yeah, we can talk about it later and offline then.
Okay, thank you. Did we cover everybody? Yes. Tarek, anything you wanted to share?
I can share one small thing, which I made a fix. When you go and open a storefront and subscribe using Google's in-app purchase, after a successful subscription, the storefront did not close. So you get the VOD item to play, and once the VOD item finishes, you go back and you see the storefront still open and offers you to still subscribe. So what I did is fix this, which I made the storefront activity to listen to an event which is broadcasted when the subscription is successful, and I made it to close itself. So yeah, that's it. And working on Reshit and stuff, so which is not interesting to talk about here. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. I'll post this on YouTube as usual soon.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a good rest of the day.
Enjoy the holiday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
See you guys.
See you. Thanks. Bye bye.